It's a little bit like a comedic counterpart to The Great Indian Kitchen. Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage. I have reviewed more than 400 Indian movies on the channel, and today I want to talk about the new Malayalam language comedy drama Jaya 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 He. It was directed and co-written by Vipin and it stars Darshana Rajendran in the titular role as Jaya, a young woman who gets married to the misogynistic scumbag Rajesh, played by Basil Joseph. And as tradition goes, she then has to live with him and his family, consisting of his mother and younger sister, in his home, and try to make the best of her new life. Jaya had plans to continue her studies, but is now subjugated to do the housework, which mainly consists of preparing the same food for her husband each and every day. And it also doesn't take long until Rajesh hits her for the first time, which of course won't be the last. The thematic similarities to The Great Indian Kitchen are easy to spot, but Vipin goes for a different approach, and Jaya 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 He has a strong comedic touch and even some larger-than-life moments. Yet I was surprised how long it takes until we get to that point, and how bleak it first portrays the world of Jaya, who can be seen as one of millions of women, specifically in India, but also more general in the rest of the world, as patriarchal structures and abuse are still ubiquitous. Jaya 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 He is an interesting film. It can be a sharp film, and it's also one that can make you chuckle, sometimes maybe in an uncomfortable manner, as well as make you laugh out loud. But honestly, this mixture of seriousness and lightheartedness, sometimes downright cartoonish silliness, didn't work for me completely. And I think some of it is because of the language barrier, and maybe more because of the cultural barrier. But this nightmarish scenario in which Jaya seems to be trapped because she's not really able to leave because of cultural norms, paired with the goofiness, it left me a bit baffled. And it's not just the clash of tones, but I was surprised how much the movie shifts focus from our central protagonist, which seemed to be Jaya, to that of her husband. I would assume that we might even spend more time with him overall, and I think the movie loses out on developing her character more. It's probably by design, as Jaya is a woman who, despite her initial ambitions, tries to play by the rules of the system, and surprisingly, she's probably one of the quietest characters in the movie, which is actually a cool and interesting variation on the idea of a protagonist. But I think the movie is also way too long, and without giving the audience much of a direction, we are just witnessing things play out in this household in a really slow manner, where I was asking myself several times why she isn't just leaving. And this is probably because of my own privileged situation and different cultural upbringing, but sometimes it can be hard to understand, or let's say to invest more into a story and its characters when it's so clear that there's really absolutely nothing that these two people have in common, and one of them is treating the other one like a slave. Now, what makes Jaya 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 He a breath of fresh air though, and so funny, is that they put a nice twist on the power dynamics and gender relations. Because there comes a point where Jaya is fighting back, and that's such a powerful, empowering and also hilarious moment. The movie does something that I think quite a few Indian movies do, and that is going for a storytelling approach that is more about surprises and twists. And these moments do work and are fun though, but the progression of the story and the characterization of Jaya lack in my opinion. It takes quite a while until we get to that first wow moment. Not that the movie hasn't its charms until then. I, for example, really enjoyed this whole song montage in which Jaya arrives at her new home and how that home is so broken, pointing to the fact that her new husband has very short temper. I also think that Kudasanat Kanakam is pretty great as Rajesh's mother, both in terms of comedy, for example her facial expressions when she tries to prepare the food for him every day, and in this duality of being a woman and having empathy for the hardships of her daughter-in-law, and also being an enabler, being the mother of the abuser and making excuses for her son and saying that it's just the way it is. But coming back to my point, it does take a while to get to that wonderful and hilarious moment in which the dynamic between husband and wife changes drastically, and that change is pretty awesome. After that though, the movie is following a very simple and honestly a little bit boring structure. First, Rajesh tries to get back to her, which leads to another fantastic scene, probably the best in the movie, though the commentary in the music got a little bit too much for me. And after that, a new plan is made. And again, it's the sinister nature of that plan on one side and the light-hearted treatment on the other that didn't completely work for me. Paired with the storytelling that once again focuses more on Rajesh, while Jaya has to stay very passive. Again, until the moment where she surprises us. Basil Joseph does a good job as this abusive man, but I dislike the character so much that it became kind of a chore to spend so much time with him and his shattered ego. It's certainly a lot of fun to see him whimper and being super pathetic, but I almost felt as if the movie still has a little bit too much sympathy for him, and if only a tiny little bit. I also think there are moments that are too overplayed for comedy for the drama to still work, and vice versa. I'm really twisted about it all because on one side I just wish I would have liked the movie more. It's a fine film with a nice twist on gender dynamics, but I think it's also a cultural thing that the comedy and overall story are just dragged out way too long for my taste. And while there are some subtler touches, a lot is also super obvious and simple. I think it's still worth checking out though, and the people in my cinema seem to enjoy the movie quite a bit. So in German I'd say, Jaya 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 ist eine interessante und bisweilen verdammt unterhaltsame und lustige Verkehrung der Machtverhältnisse in einer toxischen Ehe. So ganz hat dieser Mix aus Komödie und Drama für mich aber nicht funktioniert. Und die Erzählperspektive und lange Laufzeit haben es etwas zu einer Geduldsprobe werden lassen. I give Jaya 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 6 out of 10. It's more like 6.3, but I don't do that.
Jaya 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 Jaya
Alright, that's it like always. Comment below and let me know what you think about Jaya 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 He. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram and Letterboxd and also on Patreon simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.